This day when I woke up and looked out my bedroom window, something was different at the Church of St. George. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the video. Something that at least made me excited. Hey there, welcome to my kitchen. Now that the summer season is underway, it's all about cookies. So I'll be in my kitchen pretty much every morning banging them out. But I've been up to a lot more than that. And I hope you stick around to see. If you like what you see, be sure to leave a like. And I hope you're a subscriber. If not, why don't you become one today? Thanks so much. Let me show you what I've been up to this week. The day after Easter, I joined the local producers for a sale. I was in charge of the lights and the electrics, and when I went back to adjust something, I tripped over this 2,500-year-old column. California is only 200 years old, so I've never ceased to be blown away by this kind of thing. I really enjoyed talking to different visitors who came to my stand. A lot of them didn't know anything about acorns. And as soon as it got dark and the ferry left, we had a pretty bustling business. This group of local producers meets every so often throughout the summer, but I'm not always able to join them. I will be with them on June 5th, so if you're on Kea for the Ayo Panematos weekend, please come by and see us. The next day I took the first of what will be 2-day trips to Lavrio. It's a ghost ship this morning. I'm traveling to Lavrio for the day. Everybody's moving away from the city towards the island. There's absolutely nobody on the boat going this direction. All these chairs and tables are mobile, and I always thought it would be a really cool idea to make it into a yoga studio when it's in dock. But unfortunately, nobody really joined me in my enthusiasm for that idea. It's a gorgeous day in Lavrio, and this first day trip is to get up to the house and meet with the new civil engineer. I'm getting closer and closer to getting started again on the house, and I'll let you know what the delay was all about and what exactly is happening when I'm back there. On the second day trip that I took, I picked up a friend who came to visit from the UK, and we went to visit Sunio, the ancient temple of Poseidon at Cape Sunio. Off in the distance, all the way to the right in this panoramic film, you can see Kea, the mountainous one there in the back. This temple is one of the ones that's most intact in all of Greece. I really enjoyed the visit, but I had to get back to Kea pretty quickly for work. I'm back in the kitchen making cookies. The next morning, I had a great surprise. The tattered old flag that had been flying for months had been suddenly replaced, and it had been replaced by the flag that I love the most. Let me explain. The original flag in Greece was this light blue and white. When I first arrived in Greece in the early 80s, all the flags were this beautiful light blue and white. But then slowly, over the years, the flag started to get a little bit darker, and then finally super dark blue, the same color that the right-of-center political party Neo Demokratia uses. And this change happened while they were in power. Coincidence? So I'm really, really glad to see it's back here. And this was for the St. George's Saint Day Festival. This church is dedicated to St. George. And on this one day a year, there is a liturgy, which I just peeked in on for a bit. I'm not a Greek Orthodox, but 99% of Greeks are. So it is a big part of our lives here, whether you're religious or not. Since the church was looking so beautiful, freshly painted for the name day, I decided to practice my drone flying with it as a subject, and the crystal blue water that surrounds this church. Greece has sort of ruined me for swimming anywhere else. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's crystal clear. You can see to the very bottom. And I find it really hard to go into water that I can't see what's going on underneath me. We haven't had much wind this spring, which is very unusual, but it's been perfect circumstances for learning to fly the drone, and I'm getting a little bit better at it, I would say. And when you look up, you can see my bedroom window. A little to the left and lower than the mill. And Greece in this time of year is still quite green, but just like California, all these hills will get very dry and very beige as the season progresses. I haven't had much time for gardening, but I did manage to weed out the iris bed, and it bloomed within days of finishing the weeding. And the other thing I wanted to show you were the gladiolas. These are wild and they reoccur every year, and they're quite rare. I love the fuchsia color, and they only last for a couple weeks each year. An update on the wooden chair restoration. I have abandoned this idea. They're just in terrible shape. And I found something better to restore. These are metal. I found 8 of them at the dumpster, and I'm going to paint them in a dark matte gray with a rust stabilizer. I love the minimalist industrial look. My giant acorn huller has been wrapped up for the last couple months, but it's time to get her unwrapped and start it up and make some acorn flour. Freddie has been helping me in all assets of acorn gathering and processing for many, many years now, so he knows exactly what he's doing. I imported this machine with the help of crowdfunding in 2011 with the Kickstarter. It's from Central Turkey, and it's specifically made for hulling these giant acorns from this type of acorn that's found only in Greece and Turkey and Eastern Mediterranean. It's so loud when it's crushing acorn hulls that it's impossible to be anywhere near it without any kind of protection for your ears. It's not even an option, it's so loud. We can get the shells off of about a ton of acorns in just over an hour. But even though we pass them through the machine twice, there's still some hand sorting to do. This machine crushes the hard shells of the acorns, which are then winnowed out the front blue tube. We started out with about 18 full boxes of acorn in their shells, and we ended up, after passing them through twice and having all the shells winnowed off, with about 6 boxes of full acorns. This is pretty strenuous work, especially if you're 60 years old, but I like it, and it keeps me on my toes. Sometimes Freddie and I change positions and I load the acorns. I'm not sure which job is harder. I kind of think the one I had this time was harder. There was a lot more lifting and hauling. But the issue remained how I was going to do the final sorting, because I don't have volunteers at this time of year, and I can't exactly afford people to do this work right now. So I was sort of resigned myself to the idea that I was going to spend the next 2 or 3 days sorting through these acorns and getting only the best quality for the flour production. And that's just when some very kind Americans who stopped by my shop some days earlier decided that they would like to volunteer and help me sort. And they brought along with them longtime resident Andy Horton and his house guest Ken. So we had Kathleen and I, Ellen, Andy and Ken. We got through the pile so quickly. It was 4 hours of intensive sorting with just 1 coffee break. And of course, a coffee break around these parts involves acorn.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting our help.
Are you kidding?
Yes, she
So
is.
happy.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have your help.
Well, what a great experience. Because travel needs to be also, yes.
Fabric, not a tourist.
Next week, I look forward to showing you a new product that I'm developing. I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm thinking of doing these videos once a week rather than every other week, and I'd be very happy to get your feedback about that. Is that something you'd be interested in, or is it just fine the way it is now? Thanks, and have a great week.